Hey there.
What's up, everybody?
Hi.
Welcome. Welcome to
We
Para-
are.
Oh,
No, yeah.
What's you got on our shirt? So it's like,
Yeah, there you go.
It was-
Hey, everybody.
it was
So this
almost a
is the
thing.
second
third,
Rogersville's.
second Rogersville, the third.
Second
Rogersville. This is where we're going to tell you yay or nay if it was haunted or not haunted.
Yes.
I have opinions.
I have, yes.
So
yes.
Todd, I have one question for you though. And Rob, the inquiring inquisitive in the back, wants to know:
Go.
why are you always having the ghost sit with you on the bed?
Well, did you say sit on the bed or?
I mean, is this a Ghostbusters fantasy? Is that what we got going
No,
on? here?
actually, twice in my illustrious ghosting career before we got into this, I've actually seen something sit on a bed.
Those are called rats.
So
Invisible rats?
invisible.
They're
rats.
underneath, so it just sinks
so you
it
saw
down.
like the depression
It's
of a
yeah.
butt.
To no
or something
possum
like that?
that's getting
Yeah.
there and chilling
Yeah,
it
you
down.
see it, it's
The
like
One
posterior,
was, we were
yeah,
at a
was
bed and breakfast in Safety Harbor, and
I bet I know which one.
we
not open anymore.
yeah, they're closed now, unfortunately. But as we're standing there talking, we were both looking, and we can see this depression just sat right on the bed.
That was an adjustable bed.
No,
And the air
wasn't.
got let out.
No, it was cool.
It
so
was pretty wild.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's just my go-to statement.
That's your
right
go-to?
now. It's like my go-to thing. I'm sure
I
Nicole
love
has
it.
she's got like a go-to thing.
Yeah, I always ask them if there's anybody here, anybody that wants to talk to me or share their story. It's generally one of the first questions that pop out of my mouth every time I'm on an investigation.
Okay, so I have to ask the question. Now, I had an inquiring email, which was kind of cool. What makes us think? This is what the email said. What makes us think that once people die, they learn English?
That's a
Oh,
common,
that's a good point.
that's a common thing, and that's just it. If you go to Europe or anywhere else where they do ghost hunting, a lot of them do not get English responses
Right,
except
it's
on
their
certain
language.
television shows.
Right. So exactly right. So we're in Rogersville,
Yep.
and we're asking questions. And not only did American soldiers die, but French soldiers died, and Cherokee soldiers died. And so the question was, what makes you think they're all going to speak English to you?
And we don't.
They
and
don't
that's
have
just-
to, though.
I know, but I mean, we're talking to them in English, so people are like, "What did they have a translator down there going? Well, this is what he's saying, so you better answer." Yeah, what don't you want to why?
And we're flagged for copyright because that was an important speech.
Probably
right there.
Way to go, YouTube!
Yeah.
Woo!
boy.
I mean, it's a valid question.
You know what's funny? I never even thought of
I
that,
hadn't
though.
either. I would just think they'd be excited that anybody's trying to talk to them.
But how do they know you're
You're
talking,
talking to them or yelling at them or
Well,
something.
everybody knows some form of language.
Yeah, but they don't know English.
We don't know that.
Sure, we do.
The French that were
You
fighting
go to
the
Africa,
English
go down there.
You go to Africa.
I have no idea what you're saying.
And then they hand you a giant cockroach.
Right, exactly. Are you hungry?
That is, but when you're on an
One of those
investigation,
larvae.
Yeah.
honestly, that's part of my job here is when you guys go to places, if I think there might be something other than English, I will tell you, hey, try this, try that. That's the prep work you do. I have friends who hunt in Rome, and they speak Latin, and they speak Etruscan. A couple of them even speak.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
Speak various African dialects because of so many, and Gaelic, and they try to use these dead
Gaelic
languages
makes sense,
to
yeah.
try to incorporate that.
Right.
And that that's common. Like in Romania, ghost hunters use Romanian.
Right.
But there were English conquerors and Turkish conquerors and
had-
stuff like that. It's just you go for what you know.
Right.
Well, we use the app on the phone too, the
the
translator, to try to, if we know it's a predominantly German area, then we can, do that on the phone, and that way we can still, communicate with them.
Exactly.
Achtung!
Yeah. Right.
That's right. That's Gunde Liebenhaben.
So now that we've confused everyone with the language and the translations on the bottom of the screen,
like
there.
babble.
Yeah, I was gonna say incoherent mess.
What in the world?
What did he
Right
say?
there.
That definitely wasn't German.
WTF?
I want to touch your tuna.
But no, that is a very good question, and I'm glad they
That's all.
asked that because that is
That
true.
was-
And
That's
it
a great
But that's
question,
just it. A lot of that is edited out for television.
Yeah.
So when you watch a TV show, like a big show, and they edit the, where they have a translator trying to figure out what the heck this thing said and all that.
Right.
And then, but, that's just, it's good television, so that's why you don't
Good
need it.
TV. We're making good TV
But
here.
good investigators do. Try different languages.
So
usually have an interpreter.
we're gonna watch it. We're gonna jump into a video here. We're gonna do the Hale Springs history, PTI, and housekeeping. It's about 6.5 minutes, so everybody can just sit back, watch this real quick, and then we'll talk about it when we get back.
Right on, right on.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. Welcome to Hale Springs Inn. We are Paranormal Technology Investigations, or PTI for short. So before Rogersville was founded and named, the area was originally called the Watauga Colony, which was part of the state of Franklin, North Carolina. That was before the secession. It was settled by the grandparents of Davy Crockett in 1775. However, in 1777, the Chickamauga Indians, or Chickamauga Cherokee Indians also, led by Dragon Canoe, attacked and massacred David and Elizabeth Crockett, as well as one of their daughters. They're buried in the Rogersville Cemetery, not far from the inn in Crockett Springs. So the inn was built in 1824 by John McKinney, for whom the bar is named after. It was originally named Hale Springs Hotel and was built by slaves, with the exception of the back of the inn, which was said to have been built by, quote, drunk Confederate soldiers. McKinney built the hotel to compete with the Rogers Tavern, which was owned by Joseph Rogers. During the Civil War, the inn served as a headquarters for Union soldiers, but right across the street was also the headquarters for the Confederate soldiers. So the soldiers, they retook the city during the Battle of Big Creek in 1863. The inn served as a Civil War hospital from 1862 to 1864. It's said that soldiers shot each other from across the street, and one was murdered in the street, just in front of the Masonic Temple, which was just a few yards away from us. There are two cemeteries located on Hale Street that both contain Union and Confederate soldiers. They're on opposite ends of the road. The inn closed in 1999. It was considered Tennessee's oldest continuously operated inn. In 2003, the Rogersville Heritage Association bought the building and completed renovations. During the renovations, the rear addition partially fell. That's the back part. And it only left the original structure. However, the salvage brick was used to complete the new addition for the rear, as well as the kitchen. Some of the famous guests in the inn have been Andrew Jackson, and James K. Polk. The 3 presidential suites are named after these U.S. presidents. The inn has 9 rooms. Out of the 9, the most haunted rooms are the Netherland Brown, Molly Gray, James K. Polk, with the most activity being in the Molly Gray room. Some people have reported the doors of the cupboard and the wardrobe opening and closing in that room. There's also been claims of a faint smell of perfume filling the room. One guest who stayed in Molly's room was awakened at 3 a.m. by someone sitting on their legs. The guest left the inn that night and stated they would never stay another night here. Other reports include guests hearing a female voice in the room and the bathroom faucet turning on and off. Miss Molly is said to be a mischievous spirit if she is here. If it's not her, then maybe it could be Mary Amos. I don't know. In the Pope room, guests have reported fires that started on their own in the fireplace there. They've also reported seeing a shadow figure leaving the room.
My name's Nicole. I work here at Hale Springs Inn and I do housekeeping. When I first started working here, I had heard all kinds of stories about Miss Molly, and just, she's the main one that I always heard about, but like sometimes when I'm coming from the housekeeping room into the rooms to go clean them, I can see something kind of out of the corner of my eye, and I never really, like, there's nobody there, and I just get like a feeling. And then the elevator works just on its own sometimes, and there's no reason for it to do that. I've seen like, it looks like someone's standing at the top of the stairs out of the corner of my eye. it happens quite often, like when I come from the housekeeping room out into this area to do the rooms, and then there's nobody there. Yes, the smell of smoke, it's like it's like wood burning, like a wood burning stove or something like that, and there's no reason to smell that here either. These fireplaces don't work. And I smell it usually in the Hale room and in the Rogers room. Yes, yes. So I had been in Miss Molly's room, and I was going to the Hale room. It's kind of diagonal on this floor, and I'm going back and forth like getting my stuff. Well, I look down, and there's a rose petal on the ground, on the carpet. I bend down, I pick it up, and I go throw it away. I go back for another round, and I go back again. I look down, there's a rose petal in the same exact place, and I'm like, man, I just thought it was deja vu or something, so I pick it up and go throw it away too. Then I'm going back for another round, and look down, there's another one in the same place. So I went back, dug the ones out of the trash can, or out of the trash bag that we carry around, and just kept them. Later on that day, the same thing happened. I go back, there's another rose petal laying there, so yeah. No, I felt something with the rose petals, but it wasn't a bad feeling. It was like a kind of like sweet, but I could just, my mind and my body just went totally there, like something's leaving these for me.
So rose petals just appeared out of nowhere.
The housekeeper was interesting, though.
Out of all the stories that we heard, I think in my opinion, hers was the strongest. But it kept happening in that same room where where every time you go in there, it smelled like rose water perfume. Yeah. That old timey rose water, like Grandma used to wear.
That was super popular at one time.
Yeah. And around the era where she was.
Well, that's all they.
Everything
South, back then, everything down there was either made of flowers or something like that. So they're,
But that was a prominent way for them to try to tell you if you weren't seeing it, like if you didn't see or feel them any other way. I think scent was a much easier way for them to come through to us. I've had it happen on quite a few investigations.
Well, I'll tell you that we did that room. Me, you, and Todd did that room. Maybe. I'm not sure if we filmed that or not. And that's the one room where out of all the rooms that we did and everything we did, that was the strongest room. And you could, we were in there and I smelt it. I'm like going, well, that's pretty. And I figured one of the blonde ladies next to me, the two ladies that were there together, I figured it was her perfume. And then we walked out in the hallway and she goes, I don't have any perfume on.
Did you guys get any rose petals?
No, that we did not.
No, we didn't.
I don't know. I figured he's got them and thrown them on his bed.
Probably.
Like with a butt imprint.
Yeah. Where you at?
But no, she had that story, and when I was talking to her before she sat down on the camera, I was trying to, there was more, but she was a little hesitant, and and she's like, well, let me, and she was like, let me do the rose petals. She actually kept the rose petals, and she put them in a plastic bag and had them on like a board in the maid's, I don't want to say closet, but where they keep their supplies and everything else.
And what's funny is those didn't look like they were aged.
Yeah.
Even then,
I was saying on camera, they look fresh.
Beautiful. Yeah. You're like,
yeah, it was a really bizarre story.
Yeah. She was so sincere, though, in everything that she said. You couldn't help but just think, wow.
Were there any real flowers in the hotel?
Nope.
No. It was wintertime. There was a mums thing down in the hallway when we first walk in, but no roses.
But mums do not smell like rose water.
No, they do not.
And when you do things like this and you do these investigations and you interview the witnesses, that's an important part because it's so hard to get concrete evidence and people experience different things and people talk about different things. And so that's when you get these, you have to kind of look at them and go, okay, they're sincere. That is part of your job. Looking into these is they experienced something. She doesn't understand why these petals are.
Let's see the Molly room footage. I do think he has that already. It's a little like a 4 or 5 minute piece. Real quick, we'll just watch that one.
Lisa's not feeling anything at this time. Molly, if you're here though, we'd love to know. There's a little Egyptian pyramid on the table with a couple colored lights on. Also, you can speak to us to the box on the young lady's hand over by the china cabinet, which I believe is your china cabinet.
This is your china cabinet. You have some beautiful items in here.
Molly, we'd love to hear from you. Also, on the fireplace mantle, Molly, there's a little black box. You can just head over to that box, and if you want to say something to us, you can. Or if it's easier, Molly, you can just go over and talk to the box with the numbers in Lisa's hand.
Nope. It's over by Rob. Rob, take a left to your right. Go to your right, Rob.
Molly.
That's what that sensor is.
Molly, I can feel you in here now.
Feel anything?
We would love to hear what you have to say.
Molly, you can speak to that box in Lisa's hand.
Nope.
Molly, if it's easier, you can make that light blink also.
Nope. That's weird.
Molly, can you make that light blink?
Make the green light go off. Nope.
No.
Those are no's.
Yeah. Molly, I'll tell you what, we're in your room. Do you want us to leave your room? Or if you want us to leave the room, have the green light come on.
Molly, last night when I stayed in this room, were you trying to make some noise in here with me?
Yep.
Yep. Let's do the yes.
Oh. You heard the yep?
Yeah.
Oh.
So Molly, are you okay with us being in your room?
I think she wants us to leave.
You want us to leave?
That was the...
Yep.
Yep. Okay,
All right,
Molly.
we'll leave. Thank you, Molly.
Thank you for letting us be in here.
Oh, she's happy.
Yeah, I think you're like the green up now.
All right, so let's go.
Thank you, Molly.
Mike, put your hand right here. Feel it? It's warm. So come over really warm.
Okay, coming.
You playing that one?
You gonna play in that? You don't want to get in there?
Cold. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Hold on.
You got it?
Yo, really, really cold right here.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm looking to see.
There's no air blowing right there.
So right between you is black, which means it's cold. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cold.
See that?
Put your hand right around. Feel it?
Mm.
I mean, it's cool. You can feel the difference.
There's a difference.
Yeah, it drops almost 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got goosebumps. Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, Kathy, come in. Let Kathy come in. She's really good.
Still cooler.
Yeah.
It's cold right here. Molly, can Kathy come and feel you? Now that sounds weird, but in a good way.
Oh, well.
It's dissipating.
Right above your head, right above your hand. Nope, nope, it's gone. Nope,
I don't feel
gone.
it. I don't feel it anymore.
Gone.
Okay, that was not the right approach.
The wall actually warmed up.
Did it?
Yeah. And I got it on camera. Rah, rah, rah.
I don't
Nice.
think the
this is all.
Yeah, so Todd wants them to sit on the bed, and Lisa's letting everybody touch them.
I know that. Well,
Well, at least they're working together on it.
Right.
we're simple people with simple needs.
And the proximity sensor just always went off.
in that room.
In that room.
Yeah. But it was only in that room it was doing that?
Yeah, we used it in other
Like
rooms and nothing happened.
Predominantly in that room. Because here's the thing: is when we left, when finally we got her to say, do you want us out? And she's like, yep. So and it wasn't yup, but it was yeah. And so everybody went. I left it, and it was still going off.
Okay.
We were out in the hallway, and it still was going off.
Okay.
And when you set it down, it wasn't.
Nope.
Okay.
When I first walked in there and set it down, it was clean.
Yeah.
And then I set it. I did the. I set it on the bottom. You use a little dial.
Yeah.
You can set it for shallow, medium, or wide field. I put it for shallow field, so that way the spirit would have to come to it.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if something came to it. And then in the beginning, we did say this is a sensor. Let us know you're in the room. Blah blah blah. And then we all backed away, and then it just started going. It started going. Lisa was talking to her. Todd was talking to her. I was making fun of them talking to her.
It's so important to set that baseline before you do it, because that's a lot of people set it up. Look, there's movement because they set it next to a vent or something like that.
And then we walked out, and then we did the whole thing, and then ultimately, I think she was like, "Come over this to get out," and I left it on there, walking, and I looked back, and it was still going off. So that told me that
something.
It's something.
It's something. Now, you know what I thought was...
It could be cockroaches. I don't know.
On the doubting side, though, what I thought was weird is we pulled no EVPs out of that room.
Nothing at all.
Nothing to back it up, verify anything. All right. And you did say there was a bit of kind of a crowd there.
There was.
That were in the building.
Yes.
Because this was an event that we attended.
But you can't... But vibrations won't go through a floor.
Is the whole building made of wood?
Yeah, but
Even the floor, everything?
Yes. Oh yeah. Well, the front 2/3.
Yeah.
And the back third has been a rebuild.
So that's
because it fell.
Material.
It fell off, so they rebuilt it.
Okay.
So, but we were in the very front next to the road.
Okay.
And this is not a vibrational sensor. It was a proximity sensor.
Yeah, that's
basically it's a fancy red light that you have for your in your home for your security systems.
Okay.
It's just one of those, except it has three or two. It has one this way and one this way.
And a continuous beam. So it's like when you turn on your security lights when somebody walks by.
Well, yeah, exactly. If I walk by my security up there, if I walk by security, it'll go. It'll glow red, and I walk away, it'll go away. You set the sensitivity to it. Yeah. So that was the one thing that I couldn't explain away, because I'm the same way. I'm like, okay, well, there was maybe the building was shaking from trucks and stuff like that, but it's not a vibrational sensor. It is a movement sensor,
and it was constant. So that's what.
Yeah, and we would ask questions, and it was yes or no questions, and they would beep beep, or it would beep, or. We asked questions, and it was like a no answer.
Yeah.
I wish we didn't have the spirit box, because we were running the spirit box and a recorder.
Yeah, and that's
so you're negating each other. So it was like, okay. So now like I said, when we go back up, which we are going to go back up, it will be done differently.
Yep.
But
again, I thought what was just so weird, because we seemed to have that activity. We had that cold spot. We had that the device was going off, but then we pulled no EVPs. And I thought for sure
we would have
something. Something.
Yeah. And the FLIR you brought out to investigate the cold spot.
Yep.
And like I said, when we were watching it, I was like, oh, film the ceiling to show there's no vent.
Right.
Film the floor to show there's no vent. We had that chair in the way and all that.
Right.
So I was like, oh, I'm glad watching it now that you did get some shots of that.
Right.
And then you pointed out that the one vent
is an
over to
intake,
the left
not a push. And
so,
the floor is, it was an old building, so the heat, because there was no AC.
Yeah.
It was heat. Heat was coming up from the floor.
So it should have been warm.
It should have been warm. It should have been way hotter in there than it was.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I have a question about the FLIR. You said there was a something black, like a black spot.
Yeah, we kept getting a black spot. It was, at first I'm like, okay, that's just noise. Right.
That was initial.
That was me. I'm like, oh, that's just a pop of noise. The more I went back and looked at it, I'm like, nope, because it's not a noise hit. You can see the noise hits on a FLIR on other stuff, it will change color, but it won't go black. This goes cold.
Well, the FLIR that I used to use, which is very similar to what you're using, it was just the larger handheld FLIR. If you would hold it in one spot for too long, it had some sort of where it would recalibrate itself, and it would go and you would have basically like purple circles or spots that would kind of pulsate in a certain spot. And what I was told is that it was recalibrating itself.
No, that wasn't. First of all, I never stood still. I was constantly moving in sweeps. So the black, and they were black, not purple. They would hit and they would come off. They'd hit and they would come off, and it would be different areas around Todd. So
and now when you
around Todd and the cold spot.
All
right.
And you were feeling it.
Oh yeah.
And let me tell you something. The heat in that place, it freaking worked.
Yeah.
Because every one of us were extremely dehydrated.
Now, in the cold spots I've experienced, there is no sense of cold rushing air. It is just cold.
Right. There was no.
It's like walking into a freezer, but not that initial rush.
Yeah. Right
there.
Well, I'm in the air conditioning business, and one thing is, so I'm sort of hip to these things. And what I thought was just so weird, it was a dimensional space where it was a defined thing. If I went here, then it was no longer cold. If I went,
but you guys did try to find temperature reading difference, or and there wasn't one, right?
No, and that's the other thing. Yeah, is many of them don't show up. I have laser thermometer tests and all these other things.
Shoots right through them. You're like, nothing's there.
But
you can feel it.
I've done it many times, and like on your hand or your arm, you're like, wow, like there's a huge difference. But why it doesn't show up in a temperature reading is kind of crazy.
It is a negative space, and it is one of those, again, science that we don't understand. Portal to hell. I think at some point we'll figure why these things happen, and
I hope so.
Again, I think this is just something that needs more study. And
yep.
Cold spots is just one of those things. I mean, they've been anecdoted all the way back to Roman times.
Oh, for sure.
In the first few stories written down about haunted houses of Hades,
right?
And the Greek times and the Roman times, and they would say that there was an unearthly chill. Basically.
So we got another quick one. It's the Molly summary. Okay, so go ahead, Rob. Let's play that bad boy.
Hello, I am here in the Molly Gray Room at the Hale Springs Inn in Rogersville, Tennessee. I'm with Para Geeks, and we did a bit of an investigation last night. We were in this room with Molly. We brought in some detection equipment, including a response box that we set right here on this table. And we were able to get some reaction and some confirmation that Molly was in her room. Molly stayed in this room until her death at the age of, I believe, 92, and she is rather mischievous. She was able to confirm that she was here, and towards the end of the investigation, we asked her if she wanted us to leave. Her response was yes, please leave. So as we were leaving, we noticed right over here to my left, an area from about the top of my head down to maybe my waist was freezing cold. Back here it was warm, up here warm, below or above those spots it was warm, but right here very, very cold. It didn't last long. It dissipated rather quickly, and as it dissipated, we felt that she just wasn't here anymore, and she just really wanted to be done with this. So we exited the room. About an hour later, myself and two ladies who had rented this room for the night came back in to chat with Molly, thinking that maybe Molly was a little uncomfortable with all of the men in the room. So we came back in and we sat down, and the lady sat here on the bed, and I stood right here and talked to Molly for a little bit, and I could feel that she was here. I had some heaviness in my chest, and she confirmed it with the response box that she was here, and she was here. We chatted for a little bit, and as we were sitting here, all at the same time, I kind of looked over to my right, and the ladies were looking at me, and we all said, "Do you smell that?" And it was like a rose water perfume, a very light floral scent perfume. We all three smelled it. None of us were wearing perfume. We were able to confirm it wasn't any of our body lotions or deodorant, anything like that. It was just a very old, sweet floral scent. We later confirmed that Molly does share her perfume with her visitors once in a while, and we were lucky enough to have had that experience with her. Shortly thereafter, we asked if we should leave. She confirmed again she would like us to leave, so we left her alone.
I was really hoping that we could get the girls that you to talk to on camera, and at first like, oh yeah, and then all after everything they're like, no.
That, you know what? That was a trend. Everybody we spoke with when we first got boots on the ground. Let's do this. Let's interview. Let's do this. I'll tell you all these stories. Okay, let's get for no, I'm
Yeah.
They just disappeared.
And honestly, that's part of the culture of the area. As someone who comes from a rural southern area, it's tough because people treat them like, you're backwoods,
stupid,
you're dumb, you're and you're just a hillbilly. You believe anything. We're going to make fun of you on TV, and that is why some of these locations have difficulty getting investigators that don't want investigators, because they have been had.
It's like a stigma.
And with the the new book I'm working on, I'm in the Deep South and I'm interviewing. And thankfully, I have the history and the knowledge, and I grew up there. So when I slip back into the accent, suddenly it's a little they're a little more open to it. And all that. But even then, you get to the end of the interview and we're like, okay, so how do you want me to oh, I don't want my name. I don't want
call me Bob.
I
was talking to Bob.
Oh,
Bob was telling me.
Well, how do I quote you? Oh, just say
Bob.
This guy saw it.
Guy saw it.
Great.
Your new name is Frank.
Sadly, that's super common.
It was though. I mean,
that area. I mean, it's anywhere you go that's not a known paid for haunt, to go visit.
Yeah. No, we were going to set up cameras, do interviews at one for.
When we first got there, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, we'll interview." I think what it is, and I'm just because I've been in this world for a long time, not the paranormal, but the TV world. It's okay to bring in a little camera phone or a little camera, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm cool with that." But we brought in.
Be intimidated. But,
we brought in gear, and they're like, "Oh, this is real."
Yeah,
I really think that's like because so if you're at these locations, the people show up with handy cams and their phones, stuff like that.
GoPro.
Or a GoPro going, oh yeah, and they're like, oh, that's so much fun. And then you get a crew cooks in there with broadcast cameras. They're like, no, we're good, because this is actually going to go somewhere. I'm really good. I don't want to be on camera. You're like, oh,
but that was disappointing a little bit because
they were let down.
Yeah,
especially the night manager. I think he had a lot of things to share.
Oh, he had a lot to talk about.
He clammed up.
So, like, one of the things he was telling us again. Okay, so I'm going to preface this is hearsay. This is what he said.
That's 100%.
Hearsay. He said that at night he would hear the elevator go up and down and open and close, and nobody's on it. He would be the only person there. And it would just.
Said that too.
Yeah, that's right. One of the chambermaids, chamber girls, same thing. The story that they would just come up and go, pa-ding. Okay, first of all, here's what I have to say about that. They didn't have elevators back then. I'm just saying.
No, they
had grand stairwells.
And as another person who's worked in buildings with elevators and stuff like that, that can happen.
Yeah.
As the for elevators sometimes have maintenance cycles, especially since it's a modern addition to an older building. They do have some maintenance cycles. Sometimes they will run just to make sure the cables stay oiled and stuff like that. Opening doors, that's not that sometimes.
Come on in.
Yeah.
Nope.
And again, somebody could have pushed the button and then gone back into a room
to mess with him.
Yeah.
But he said this has happened when the inn's empty.
When the inn is empty,
okay.
There's nobody in there.
That's
and it's night. And during the actually, he said it happens during the daytime too.
Yeah.
Which.
Yeah, but you're right. I would like to talk to him. And there's a couple other people who were originally going to speak with us, and they know speaky.
That's why I say it's hearsay, because he told me, and I heard him say it. But I don't know.
And again, when you talk to these people, they've seen something happen. He saw that or experienced that. Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought it up. There's no in for him. You weren't saying, "Hey, tell me this, I'll give you $50."
Right.
And again,
we paid
when
nobody.
They say that they don't want to talk about it, that's when I start to give it a little more credence, because then it's like, okay, now. They're like that, and then, people say, "Oh, if they don't want their name on it, then they're making it up." It's like, no, that's when I start to go. They don't want their name on it because they are worried, that something is going to come back on them.
So now we're going to talk about outside of the inn were down where the Crockett's were buried. There is a cemetery, a little small one.
Yep.
Right. We went back there a couple of times. This place, Lisa will corroborate me on this, but when you walked into this little cemetery, it was like thick. Like, it was nice outside. It was
just
cold.
A very sad feeling.
Yeah.
I can't really explain it other than heavy is a good
Heavy
word
or
for
thick.
it.
Yeah. It was awkward.
And that
was during the day.
That was during the day. Yeah.
So I'm thinking we're gonna rock this tonight. That was when I went in and it was draining all my camera batteries and everything else, brand new. I just charged. I'm thinking, man, this is gonna be hot.
And it may have been had we not been in the circumstances we were in.
Yeah, with 50 people out there,
5,000 people.
Yeah, we had a crew, but that's okay. let's play that video real quick, Rob.
Hi, this is Lisa with Para Geeks, and I'm here in Rogersville, Tennessee. Behind me is the Rogers Founding Fathers Cemetery. I just kind of wanted to give you my perspective on what is happening here. We're in a beautiful little park in the city, and it's very, very peaceful, but it's also very somber and sort of sad feeling. Can't really explain what I'm feeling other than there's a heaviness or an anxiousness in my chest. And you just kind of feel an overall feeling of sadness as if there's been some tragedy here. Not necessarily right here where I'm standing, but in this town itself. So stay tuned and we'll see what unfolds later on tonight when we come back here and try to do some investigating.
Miss Elizabeth, Mr. Crockett, good evening. Are you here with us?
Yes.
Yeah. You should be very proud of your son.
Grandson.
Your grandson, thank you. Do you know where you are?
Is it okay that we're here tonight?
Flashing green.
Yes.
Elizabeth, can you tell us your name? Speak in that little box by the edge of the headstone. The Crockett's, I have a tough question for you. Do you know that you were killed by Cherokee Indians?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Is there anybody else here with us with the Crockett's? Are the Rogers with us tonight?
This is a beautiful town. You should be very proud.
The red kicked. Are all the founders of Rogersville here?
We're going to cut another spirit box on the side of this.
Yep.
Yeah, let's cut the volume. Are there any spirits of slaves here with us tonight?
Are there any soldiers with us?
The box on the tombstone. Can you tell us your name? We'd like to know who we're chatting with. Okay, thank you for letting us visit. Ah, the cemetery.
So all I could see is them on their graves going, "Get off my freaking grave."
Yeah,
Seriously,
there was
I'm trying to rest down here until Jesus comes back.
Yeah.
Get off.
There's no action.
Nothing, no play.
She didn't. Yeah.
You
No,
have
I
the
mean,
feelings during the day.
During the
Yes.
day, but not at night.
Not at
no.
night. Nothing there at night.
Yeah, that's so bumming. I go to Lisa. I go, what are you feeling? What are you feeling, Lisa? She's like,
Cold.
There's nothing. I'm like,
I'm feeling cold.
That disappointment of absolutely
I'm like,
nothing.
Let's go inside.
Yeah.
Like this was hopping earlier,
Yeah.
but you know,
Oh, it
those
was.
50 other people kind of killed it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, and that can also disrupt things because you've also got people who
Absolutely.
aren't believing,
Yep.
are just there for the spectacle of it.
Yeah.
They're there to make fun.
Yep.
Yeah, see, told you they wouldn't find nothing.
Yep.
But one thing we never did, though. Did you hear that?
No.
Oh my God, you see that?
Yeah. No shaky.
We
cam.
never
No
did
shaky
that.
cam.
Nope.
No, we were good.
We were right there, and what did bother me is he brought his spirit box in there, right next to our recorder, and I'm like, okay.
So you don't like the spirit
I
box?
hate the spirit box. I hate the spirit box. I'm not a big fan of the Obulus. Anything that's a random word generator, that's all it is. And it's now sometimes they'll pick on something and go with that. But
I've seen them, and worked with them, and they seem like they do pretty good sometimes.
Sometimes, but again, I also think a stop clock's right twice a day. So some of these things can pick up, and I think some of them have some virtual assistant technology in them.
Oh, I'm sure they
So
do.
they hear you say some words, and then they suddenly
Yeah,
that gets
they
added
pick
to the
up
word
those
bank.
words, yeah.
It does, all it takes is a Furby technology to do that.
Right.
And that's from the
We can bring a
80s.
Furby out there?
Yes.
People have done it. People have
I
brought
gotta go buy a
Furbies out
Furby.
to investigations. And I'm like, of course the Furby's picking something up. That's what they're designed to do.
I think the one thing that we're going to go for with next time is, actually, when we do the prison, we're going to bring some dolls. We're going to bring some cigarettes, candy.
Yeah, things.
Okay.
Leave it around.
Trigger objects.
Yeah.
Trigger objects. And see what we get.
He's excited. Levi's,
need to bring some
Levi's
alcohol.
like, he's going to bring,
Well, hell yeah.
I was gonna say what?
Levi's bringing packs of smokes.
That'll
Yeah.
be good too.
Yeah,
as a
if
If
prisoner,
you can get
what are the
older
things
style,
that you
it's
would
even
want?
better. But I
Even
Cigarettes,
some
lube.
dice, something that they
Well, you know where to get that? There's a shed full of that.
Well, yeah, shh.
we don't talk about that. That's just for the
Pin-up.
special
X-Day on
We
the
get some
X-Day.
pinups.
Yeah.
Put 'em
But
up.
no, yeah.
Not dirty ones, just pinups.
No, I hear what you're saying.
I like the old, the classic ones.
Just like,
back-
right, Shawshank.
Yeah, but
maybe a rubber blow up doll.
But
Oh, boy,
for
we're in
the
a wrong
cemetery,
show.
Now we did. The Crockett family were massacred.
Yes, they were.
And
Dragon canoe.
Infamously,
Dragon Canoe, right.
And
And I said that, and they made fun of me. I go, no, that's the guy who did it.
yeah, and
Yeah, they're like, what? I'm like, "Yeah, his
yeah,
name."
that's his name.
And he was from the Chickamauga Cherokee tribe.
Yes.
Yep.
And then of
History's
course,
so rich in that area, man.
yeah, there's so much there. And then there are some Civil War vets buried there.
Yep.
There are the founders'
Yep.
families are there. So there's a lot of history in that cemetery and that whole area.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
So I figured we would get a lot from that space because of how brutally they were killed. But if they weren't killed on that spot,
that's
that's
where
the
you
problem.
go.
You got to go find where they were killed
And
and
then-
the location if you can. And
And then that old
that's-
homestead is not there anymore. It's
Nope.
just a field.
Yep.
So that's tough.
Yeah, there's just a placard.
Yeah.
Is all.
That's
And
why
even
when-
that says beyond this spot,
Right.
200
Yeah, that's all-
yards.
right.
is-
But the
yeah.
field itself might hold some of the energy.
And that's where
possible.
that's why it's also, and the problem is I think that's public. It's
yeah,
not.
that's not real.
It's not.
It's just stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
land. Like if you go to Chickamauga and you walk and you go back to the actual battlefields where they actually had the battlefields, you can walk through there and just get overwhelmed with the. Oh my
If you go
God.
to Devil's Den or up to the Hornet's Nest or Little Round Top. Oh my
Right.
God, Little Round Top.
We drove through Chickamauga when we were there visiting last year at Memorial Day week when everything was supposed to be shut down. They were still had the battlefields open, and we went back to the watchtower where the Ghost of Green Eyes was supposed to be, and that was one of the central areas where I think it was the Blood Creek is to the west of it, and you could walk through those trails back there and just feel just overwhelmed. Overwhelmed.
What we felt when we went to Andersonville.
Right.
Oh, that would be a place to visit, though.
That is a crazy feeling there. So
Roger, but you know, they didn't disappoint. Actually, and we don't have time now because we have we have one more room footage, and we got time. Go ahead and play this one. It's about 5 minutes. We may come back out early on it.
Is anybody in this room? Alright, so now I'm picking up the EVP and I'm taking the phone. There's a super cold spot right over here.
Andrew, is your spirit present in this room? Do you dwell here?
We do have a little box on the bed. If there is somebody in here, you can just go right by it and make it go off.
Is this the room you stay in?
Could there be someone else in this room? Are you a Union soldier? You are a Union soldier? I bet you're tired. If you want to sit on that bed and relax, go ahead and sit on the bed. If you want to talk to us more, this young lady over here to my right has a box that you can actually speak to us. If you're not a Union soldier, maybe you visited long ago. Were you a slave heading north on the Underground Railroad? You make that blink again if you were a slave escaping to the north? That's a real one. Can you go ahead and make that light blink for us on the bed? Can you make that blink again if you were a slave escaping to the north?
There we go. That's a real one.
Can you go ahead and make that light blink for us on the bed? Cold hits on both sides.
I keep getting these cold little hits out of nowhere. Yeah. So I keep getting cold hits on both sides. They'll come in, they'll come off, they'll come in, they'll come off, and then they'll go right in front of the bed.
Right here without the wrong cross from the bed.
When you asked about the city.
Joseph, is Joseph your name?
Joseph your name. Keep in the box, that little round box on the floor there.
If your name is Joseph, can you say Joseph for us, please?
Try again. Can you tell us your name?
Thank you.
Joseph.
Is there any other spirits in here with you, Joseph?
Thank you, Joseph.
Or are you alone?
Joseph, your name?
If your name's Joseph, can you say Joseph for us, please?
Joseph, that was a great question. Are you alone, Joseph?
Thank you. Is there any other spirits in here with you, Joseph? Or are you alone?
Thank you for talking to us.
Keep asking that about here. Every time you do, it goes cold.
Joseph, did you die in this town?
Yes. Who's talking to you?
Joseph, thank you for talking to us. Thank you.
Can you make the cake with me to light up, please? I can sit it on top of the cooler at the green light.
It's her leg.
Did it? Yeah. Oh, well, I did blink. Joseph and Levi, can you hear a voice? And so, can you please say your name?
So the bar, you said?
The bar actually called my name out. And then there was one where they called Lisa's name out.
In that room, we just
in that room. But the problem with that was what you didn't see is there was probably 15, 20 people behind us.
Right.
And they were moving, and they kept hitting the grid.
They come in. A couple will come in, and they get bored, and then some would see or hear, and then they troop off down, and and then another group would float in.
It was hard.
It was challenging.
Won't be doing that again.
I think it would be really interesting to go back and have the ideal situation and
Yep.
see what happens.
Right.
Absolutely, it'd be
Yeah.
good to
Kinda
see the two
compare.
different types. Exactly, compare the two different types of evidence that we would be able to catch.
Yeah, and again, my problem with the footage and all that was there were so many devices. Everybody's got
So
a
close.
device, and that the EMF detector is useless because there's enough electromagnetic in that room to throw it off the chart.
Yep.
The grid wasn't stable enough,
Nope.
and it was pointing at the detector, so it could have been triggering some of the responses. I think we talked about that. I think once it settled, then it was interesting that the light was responding.
Yeah, it was.
There was some actual catch and response, which was interesting. But again, it's so muddled that there's nothing conclusive from it. I hate to be that guy. But.
No, bad guy.
There's so much to show that we could have made this a 2-hour show, but we can't keep dragging it on and on and on. If this was Rogersville, we're going to go back up. I would definitely say that the place is definitely has spirits.
That like I said, there's enough anecdotal evidence now where I sit there and go, okay, this is worth an
It's
investigation.
really,
So,
a proper investigation.
Yeah.
And we're not saying PTI didn't do it.
No, I'm
It's
sure
just-
they've done plenty of investigations
Yeah,
there on their own.
they've done it one or two. The thing of it is once the word got out that we were the film crew was coming up, everybody ascended in on it. So. Which was awesome. I mean, I feel really honored that people come out and want to see what we do, but unfortunately, it messed up the investigation.
Yeah, sadly.
And PTI, God bless them, man. They were working. I mean, I know how antsy I am about someone touching my gear. They were letting people walk off with their gear and go in rooms by themselves.
That's what they do.
That's
so.
what. Yeah, but I'm sitting there going, you ain't touching my camera.
Right,
What's
better
wrong
them
with
than
you?
me.
I don't even want you looking at my camera and more or less touching it, for God's sake.
But no, we thank them so much for letting us come
Yeah,
up and be a part of it. As much as, like I said, didn't turn out the way we expected, but and we will work with them again. So
Oh, absolutely.
Looking forward to it.
I think they're coming down.
That's what I heard.
I think we got to find. They're on the East Coast. They're going to be Orlando and Daytona. They like to have something over there. We're going to try to work on something to get them
So
over. We'll go over
reach out
them.
to a few places and see if we
Can
can.
you? Yeah, because that'd be kind of fun to meet up with them. I think it's just her and Ken that come down. Ken has a very commanding voice.
Yeah,
he does.
Like I said, that's good.
That wasn't like, hey, can you come talk to us? It's like, can you talk to us? Okay, I'm going to talk to you now.
And again, it's good to try different techniques with these things because
Right.
some people respond to a commanding voice, some people respond to a
right.
And if these things were people, which is still debatable, would they respond to? Everybody responds to a different thing.
I'm hoping we get some good. So we're going to this weekend. May 1st.
First.
May 1st.
Saturday.
Saturday.
We're going to go up and do Denton? No.
It's Trenton, Florida.
Trenton, Florida. Trenton, Florida.
Trenton, New Jersey.
It's called the Gilchrist Jail.
Gilchrist.
Yep.
It's a very interesting place. It's a very small place, but it is very interesting.
Last official hanging in Florida, I think, was at that location.
What?
I believe.
Yeah.
I believe so, actually.
I think that's the history of it. So.
Oh, I'm not feeling so good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna come down with
and a bunch of other things there. So we'll get into the history when we come back.
Perfect.
And
so next Monday we should have an interesting show.
Yeah,
we're not going to do the Rose. We have gone to the Rose Cemetery. We're going to hold off on that one and put that with some cover. I want to go back up to Spring Hill or Brooksville
Shiloh?
and do Shiloh because up there we were on the way out. We had filmed there and it was raining and it was awkward and we were talking about there's
beating a storm.
Yeah, we were getting exactly. And as we were
Good
leaving,
energy, though.
Oh yeah.
as we were leaving, the kids started laughing and playing.
I want that to happen so
And
bad.
I'm like, and I looked at him. He looked at me like, "You heard that, right?"
Yeah,
He's like,
how
"I'm hearing that."
quick can we get the cameras back up? And that's when the rain just
started pouring.
We
I'm
were
like,
half mile back to the
man.
RV because the road to
So
it
you had
is
two
not an
reasons
RV.
for running at that point, right? So you didn't just look like
I don't run away
scared.
from stuff.
No, it
like
wasn't.
that.
No, it was. No, what was fun was it was just like because he was going to try to take the RV down that road.
Yeah, I was.
And I'm like, dude, no.
Trying to get stuck.
I was like,
No, it's just the trees were too low for us.
yeah, and it's also no. There are some deep rivets.
Oh, yeah, there
It's
is, like,
definitely
some
not
ruts.
a good road.
He's like, I'll get it out. Don't worry.
I got a Hummer. I'll go back and get
so
it.
we'll talk to the property up there and see if we can get.
I want to go
a
back
night
up. I want to do a night in there because I think it's going to be. We could do it during the day, but during the day there's be less car traffic.
Yeah.
Because I did hear car traffic.
Yeah.
So if you can get rid of the car traffic, I think it would be good. And then it would, being back where we're at, if we don't bring the RV, we bring the trailer and the Hummer, we can get back there and get
My
all.
last time there, or no, 2 times ago there, was when we almost got attacked by a boar. So
Oh
you know,
my God.
We'll have eats.
Somebody bring a gun.
Yeah.
So, but that's it.
Boar.
Gang.
All right, hey, so thanks for watching. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
So yes, Rogersville is haunted. You got to go up there. We're going to go back and do the whole town. We'll see everybody next Monday or next Friday on Para Geeks.
Take it easy.
Yeah.
Bye.